as the title suggests, we're drawing zodiac signs as people. We're on the 8th sign, so we're at Scorpio. I will start while the sketch is figuring out what it's supposed to be doing. I will start with a couple of traits, since I tend to forget those. So Scorpios are associated with beginnings and endings, and they aren't afraid of either. That's also why Scorpios are associated with death, because death is all about a life coming to an end, and depending on how you believe, things like the beginning of the afterlife or the beginning of a new life if you believe in reincarnation, that type of thing. So it's like, but it's also about endings within a life, so like an ending of a time period or an ending of, I don't know, you're moving, so that would be an ending as well. And like whenever something ends, a new thing begins. It's like that. They're inquisitive. They like investigating. They're not afraid to like poke people and get on someone's bad side to like figure out, to get an answer from them. And they have good intuition. Okay, got there at the end. Okay, for Scorpio, I already have a few design ideas for a different group of like bug-inspired people. So there were a few elements that I knew I wanted to incorporate, which were that I wanted him to have like the multiple eyes, and since scorpions have 2 main eyes that are in front and then a few eyes on the side. I believe it's 12 is the maximum, including the front eyes. So 5 per side. And they're on the upper side of the scorpion head, so they're on the side of his head. And the plan is for each eye, since all of the eyes glow anyway, each eye glows red, because here's the kicker. Scorpio's main color is black, secondary color is red. Now, how do you make something, the black light is not a thing. So also he has like the they're not pincers as in like the pincers next to the hand, but like scorpions also have like some clampy chompery bits on the side of the mouth that kind of help keep stuff from moving while eating. So I gave him some of those. He does have a stinger, it's just out of frame because it looks better when they are at a close-up and I can draw the faces. Also, since scorpions don't really have ears, he has small ears. And because he has the eyes, he doesn't really grow hair on the side, so it's not necessarily he doesn't have shaved sides. That hair just doesn't grow there to begin with. And I have his hair like pulled back and dreadlocked and braided, because once braided, that kind of makes a good reference to the scorpion stinger, even though he doesn't the stinger isn't necessarily visible. It kind of gives that type of silhouette to him, even though it makes him look more like Scorpio instead of just having a few eyes and like some pincers. It's like you have to have him have some sort of long thing, even because you can't just say, oh, he has a tail out of frame. And I guess I could have tried to maybe swoosh the tail or something along those lines. I'm not sure, but I wanted the focal point to be more on the eyes. And then the tail also, the way I think of his design, or like lower toe, you know how centaurs are top human, bottom horse, right? Think of that, but instead of the horse, it's like a scorpion, right? That's what he is. So, I couldn't, with good faith, have a good framing where his eyes were the focal point, but the tail was still visible without him being very, without the camera being above him, which was not, I did not want to do that. His shoulders seemed a bit like out of place, so I quickly fixed that. For the symbol, because this is when a decision has to be made. So if the symbol is black, then the light or lack thereof has to be black as well. As you can see, I am very unsure about what I'm supposed to be doing with the symbol, so that is why it's just there instead of having any type of glowy effect pre-shown, because I don't know what to do with it. So it's just kind of there for now, instead of having a instead of being able to plan for it. Considered giving the big eyes be completely red as well. Didn't go with that plan in the end. Went for a more. Also, I found a picture of like an extreme close-up on a scorpion's eye, which is why I was able to like add like some of the extra detail in it, so that helped. Now, so going with the black and adding in, so because the symbol would be more of a lack of color and would mostly drown out, would make the edges even darker, the eyes have to compensate for that and actually be the main source of color instead. So I still want the symbol to be visible, so I'm making like the symbol itself a grayish color, and then the color around, or like it's emanating be darker, and then hopefully that's going to work. It's probably going to end up muddy, but you know, trying out a bunch of different colors so that I don't have to. I'm trying out like a whitish, or like a light gray, a white, just anything other than black as like the color. Didn't work. I'm gonna go back to the symbol and try a bunch of other things as well. Don't you worry, we're gonna be just going back to that very often. So the saturation and the brightness of the red from the eyes changes quite a few times. Also the big eyes, the main eyes get a change to them, since well, not a change, but extra detailing to them, since they are visible and they are big. Temporarily decided to go with like an ashy color for the light source instead, since that works with the theme better. It's not one of his colors, but it's a light source instead of a source of dark. So continued with that, going back to the eyes always, but they are a very important part of this design, so they I kind of have to spend a lot of time and like have to go back because they literally make or break the illustration at this point. So the color of the pupils change quite a few times. The smaller eyes, because the bigger eyes have some extra detailing to them, the smaller eyes end up having the pupil disappear slightly. They also look a bit flat when they're supposed to look a bit more outstretched, so trying to make that make them look more like eyes and less like pimples, by adding some catchlight to them, as well as just adding a bit of shading to the pincers, and making sure that like what light there is, the shadows fall properly. The nose wouldn't have shadows going over the cheeks, but would have some going down closer to the nose because the eyes are casting the light, so the nose wouldn't have any of action. I think the nose was okay. And I am using, since the eyes are the light source, this is also when I started thinking maybe I don't like how the backlit thing is, so I am going to ignore it for the moment and see how things go. So I'm using the eyes to make his hair look like hair and have some three-dimensional space-ishness to them. The eyes the eyes do have more of a spread than they technically should be, but that is why this is an illustration and not a photograph, because I'm not the one who would have to figure that out. Maybe there's like a thing off the screen that's like bouncing light or whatever. So went back to the symbol, went back to the darker one. I changed the color of the stars to be red because that also kind of makes it look like similar to his eyes. I have an overlay layer to make the eyes pop a bit more, and I'm trying to just get more contrast. Like he looked a bit too bright, especially so I'm trying to make sure like he is sufficiently underlit that the eyes look intimidating. He's okay. I think the point is that like he looks as like a sufficiently intimidating figure without necessarily having an intimidating expression, if that makes sense. I'm going back to Libra to try and find what I did with the layers, because I did a lot with their layers. They have a lot of layers. Also remember that I could change the color of the line art around the eyes, so did that. That helped a lot with making them pop a bit more. And I'm just trying to play around with the layer options and see what works and what doesn't, and what actually gives me the effect that I want. Like right now it gives me the effect that I want, but now he's too dark and I have to lighten him up because we lose detail. We lose too much detail now, and that's not the point. Like for the symbol, since the symbol is being drowned out by a dark background and making the background even darker, I decided to have it like outline, like, or silhouetted, or I don't know what the term for what I did is, but it's like the edges of the M and the arrow and like the symbol has the light instead. So it actually stands out and you can see it. Instead of, is there a random M there, or is that what it's supposed to be? Who knows? I hope now it's more obvious, and like after a bit of saturation, I believe, he looks a bit better, and you can still see the detail in the design. I also changed I made the line art red, or more red than previously, to kind of bring home that redness and like the dark and intimidating point. It is very red, and that is what it's supposed to be. All in all, I think the point got across, and seeing that there was definitely somewhere halfway through that I was thinking, oh no, I have messed up, I don't know what I'm doing, I've made a mistake, why? But all in all, I think he turned out quite well, and my aim came across. He does look sufficiently intimidating, even though the pose itself is nothing to write home about, but it works, and still keeping to the main color palette as the main color, or like the background, the main light source or lack thereof light source at this point, with the M and the black, and then the secondary light source with the red. I am happy. It worked. It actually worked, and it's like, this is kind of what I saw in my head. I didn't see I didn't see the outline being like that, but it had that effect. So yes, I'm taking credit for my idea that came later, as an idea that I intended to do. Always say that you intended to do it. Never say it was an accident. No. Anyway, have a wonderful day. See you later, and goodbye.